and welcome to Global Scan, your one-stop destination for a roundup of all the major global developments of the week. The United Kingdom has become the first Western nation to authorize a COVID-19 vaccine, stealing a march ahead of the US and Europe. Russian health minister has claimed that more than 1 lakh people have already been vaccinated against COVID-19. United States has imposed tighter visa regulations for Chinese Communist Party members in a move that will limit their travel and also that of their relatives to the US. The Australian government will now have power to veto any deal between local authorities and foreign governments if they adversely affect Australia's foreign relations or are inconsistent with Australian foreign policy. And in sports, Paris Saint-Germain beat Manchester United in the Champions League. All that and more on Global Scan. Let's get started with the top stories. US President-elect Joe Biden formally introduces his picks for his economic policy team, including Janet Yellen for Treasury Secretary, urges lawmakers to pass coronavirus aid package stalled in the US Congress for months, promises more action to reactivate the economy after he takes office next month. United States talks tough, imposes tighter visa regulations for Chinese Communist Party members in a move to limit travel. Restrictions would also limit visas for their relatives to a single entry, with the visa duration lasting 1 month. UK becomes the first country in the West to approve COVID-19 vaccine. Britain's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency grants emergency use approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Russian health minister says more than 1 lakh people already vaccinated against COVID-19. Former French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing passes away at the age of 94. Giscard was known for steering modernization of the French society during his presidency. French President Emmanuel Macron declares a national day of mourning on the 9th of December. Team India defeats Australia by 13 runs in the final ODI of the 3-match series at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. Australia wins 3-match ODI series, slowing economic recovery, hampered by the resurgent coronavirus pandemic. Before announcing his economic team, Biden urged lawmakers to pass a coronavirus aid package that has been stalled in the US Congress for months and promised more action to reactivate the economy after he takes office next month. Biden said any such package passed by the US Congress before he takes over on the 20th of January would be at best just a start. Biden announced the economic team during a press conference in which he formally announced nominations for the team, including that of former Fed Chair Janet Yellen as his pick for Treasury Secretary. United States has imposed tighter visa regulations for Chinese Communist Party members in a move to limit US travel for tens of millions of Chinese working in government and other prominent roles, further stoking tensions with Beijing ahead of the Biden administration. The restrictions would limit visas for Chinese Communist Party members and their relatives to a single entry, with the visa duration lasting 1 month. Now we get you news from Europe. Former French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, a key architect of European integration in the early 1970s, died at the age of 94. Giscard, who was France's leader from 1974 to 1981, had recently been hospitalized in Tours in western France and was being treated in the cardiology unit, according to Europe 1 Radio, which first reported his death. Giscard was known for steering modernization of French society during his presidency, including allowing divorce by mutual consent and legalizing abortion, and was one of the architects of European integration. French President Emmanuel Macron has declared a national day of mourning on the 9th of December to mourn the passing away of former President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing. The former French president, who championed European integration and helped modernize French society in the 1970s, died on the 2nd of December after contracting COVID-19. Humans could land on Mars for the first time as early as in 6 years, and maybe even 4. Elon Musk said at an event in Germany on Tuesday night. Musk's rocket company SpaceX launched 4 astronauts on a flight to the International Space Station last month, NASA's first full-fledged mission sending a crew into orbit aboard a privately owned spacecraft. The billionaire SpaceX chief executive, who is also CEO of electric car maker and battery manufacturer Tesla Inc., attended an award ceremony in Berlin where he received the Axel Springer Prize, given to outstanding personalities who are particularly innovative. UK has become the first Western country to grant emergency use authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. That and more in COVID Scan.
UK approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine on Wednesday, jumping ahead of United States and Europe to become the West's first country to formally endorse a jab it said should reach most vulnerable people early next week. Britain's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, granted emergency use approval to Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which they say is 95% effective in preventing illness in record time, just 23 days since Pfizer published the first data from its final stage clinical trial.
The JCVI's advice is aimed at maximizing benefit from vaccines, and therefore it's aimed at the most vulnerable people, which are people in care homes. Whether or not the vaccine itself can be delivered to care homes is obviously an important point, and there will be some flexibility in terms of operational constraints. The JCVI's advice is that every effort should be made to supply vaccine and offer vaccinations to care home residents. Whether or not that is actually doable is dependent on deployment and implementation.
Russian Health Minister Mikhail Murashko on December 2nd said more than 100,000 people had already been vaccinated against COVID-19 as Moscow presented its Sputnik V vaccine to the United Nations over video link. According to the presentation, more than 45,000 people are currently participating in Sputnik V trials worldwide. Sputnik V is one of the 2 Russian-made vaccines to have received domestic regulatory approval so far, despite clinical trials being incomplete, requires 2 injections. A third vaccine is also in the works. The World Health Organization's top emergency expert said on Monday that the world risks future pandemics if it suffered amnesia and did not learn from the current coronavirus crisis. Director of World Health Organization's Health Emergencies Program, Mike Ryan, also took a swipe at developed nations in particular, saying that northern countries had been running healthcare systems like low-cost airlines and that the world is paying the price for that now. WHO DG Tedros Ghebreyesus also urged countries not to politicize the hunt for the origins of coronavirus, saying that would only create barriers to learning the truth. Tedros also urged Brazil to be very serious about its rising coronavirus cases, which is a worrisome trend. Black Friday sales and Christmas lights attracted thousands of people to central Madrid's shopping area, raising fears it could generate a coronavirus spike as the packed streets made it almost impossible to maintain social distancing. Police were seen controlling the area. However, the images contrasted with the empty streets of weeks ago when Madrid imposed restricted measures to control coronavirus spread. Through a variety of restrictions which differed region to region, Spain has managed to flatten the curve so far. Turkey will impose curfews on Wednesdays and full lockdowns over weekends to combat the spread of coronavirus, as announced by President Tayyip Erdogan after new cases and deaths hit record high in recent weeks. In curfew, citizens will not be allowed to leave home between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. on weekdays and over the whole weekend from 9 p.m. on Fridays to 5 a.m. on Mondays. Some sectors, including supply chain production, will be exempted from measures which will begin on Tuesday.
Now let's shift focus to news from Asia. Australia's government will now have the power to veto any deal struck between local authorities and foreign governments after local lawmakers approved the legislation on 3rd December. Under the terms of the new law, Australia's foreign minister can veto agreements made by local institutions if they adversely affect Australia's foreign relations or are inconsistent with Australian foreign policy. While Morrison has stressed the new law is not aimed at any one country, it is widely seen by analysts as directed towards China, and the new legislation threatens to further sour Canberra's ties with Beijing.
Australia's policies and plans and the rules that we make for our own country are made here in Australia according to our needs and our interests, and we'll continue to do that. But I'd simply make this point, following on from my media conference earlier this week, and that is that my position and my government's position is to seek constructive engagement. The relationship with China is a mutually beneficial one. It supports both our countries, it's good for both of our countries, and it's good for the interests of both countries, I think, to constructively engage. And Australia has been very clear, we've been very consistent, we've sought to be very respectful, we will continue to do that, and we will seek opportunities for constructive engagement.
New Zealand declared a climate emergency on 2nd December and promised that the government would become carbon neutral by 2025. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the motion to declare climate emergency in Parliament was based on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's findings that to avoid more than 1.5 degrees Celsius rise in global warming, emissions would need to fall by around 45% from 2010 levels by 2023 and eventually reach zero by around 2050. The motion was passed in Parliament, with New Zealand joining 32 other countries, including Canada, France and Britain, all of which have declared a climate emergency. The government also said the public sector will be required to achieve carbon neutrality by 2025. Government agencies would have to measure and publicly report on emissions and offset any they cannot cut by 2025. At least 5 people died in Thailand on the 3rd of December after a flash flood brought by seasonal monsoon swept through, causing waist-high floods in several provinces in the south. Local media footage showed flood waters gushing into a hospital entrance in Nakhon Si Thammarat. The province's governor said there were 5 deaths, while over 5 lakh people were affected. The floodwater was reported to have receded by Thursday. China's Chang'e 5 probe has completed sampling on the moon, and the samples have been sealed inside the spacecraft, according to National Space Administration or CNSA. Launched on the 24th of November, the spacecraft landed on the north of the Mons Rumker in Oceanus Procellarum, also known as the Ocean of Storms, on the near side of the moon on the 1st of December, tasked with retrieving China's first samples from an extraterrestrial body. After the spacecraft worked for about 19 hours on the moon, the sampling ended at 2200 Wednesday Beijing time, and the samples were stored in a container inside the ascender of the probe as planned, said the CNSA. News from Africa now in Africa this week. With 2 old rivals facing off in Ghana's presidential election on the 7th of December, amid familiar economic woes, many voters are paying more attention to a new element in the political mix: the first ever female vice presidential candidate for a major party. West Africa's second largest economy has one of the highest levels of women-owned businesses in the world, yet just 13% of parliamentary seats are held by women. This is Akufo-Addo's third head-to-head with Mahama, who narrowly won their first encounter in 2012 before losing to Akufo-Addo in 2016 by more than 9 percentage points. Both presidential candidates have promised more spending to help smoothen economic recovery. Now we get you stories that make news but not headlines, and this is Beyond Headlines.
Cano, a former street dog in the Bolivian city of El Alto, has found his calling as the co-pilot of a local taxi driver. He was rescued by 57-year-old Santos Quispe, who started working as a taxi driver at the start of the pandemic. Kano is a 3-year-old mongrel who hopped into Quispe's taxi 7 months ago and has not looked back. Both have found comfort in one another's presence during these hard times. Quispe said he found Kano in a shocking state, skin and bones, so he decided then and there to adopt him. His relatives and neighbors sometimes help with food for his faithful dog. In United States, amateur adventurer David Serber has located a mysterious metal monolith on Wednesday in the Red Rock Country Desert of Utah, United States, despite efforts by local authorities to keep its location undisclosed. Following the coordinates of amateur trackers, Serber went to the canyons in hope of finding the metal structure in the middle of the desert. Lately, members of the Utah Department of Public Safety Aero Bureau were on a mission to count bighorn sheep in southeastern Utah when they spotted the unusual object in the middle of the desert on November 18th. With the Christmas season nearing, Father Frost, the Russian Santa Claus, met children with disabilities on Saturday in Kuzminki, Moscow. This year, due to the threat of coronavirus pandemic, the traditional children's matinee was impossible to hold, so they met at Hippotherapy Club Flona in the south of Moscow. The image of Father Frost is one of the most popular among children for the presents that he brings. The White House unveiled its magnificent Christmas decorations for the year. First Lady Melania Trump showcased the White House Christmas decorations under the theme America the Beautiful. The White House was decorated by more than 125 volunteers who put up 62 Christmas trees, 106 wreaths, more than 1,200 feet of garland, and more than 3,200 strands of lights. The official White House Christmas tree came from Shepherdstown of West Virginia and was adorned with decorations handmade by children.
Paris Saint-Germain beat Manchester United in the Champions League. Darren Moore Sports Action in SportsScan.
Team India defeated Australia by 13 runs in the final ODI of the three-match series at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. Team India posted a total of 302 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in 50 overs after skipper Virat Kohli won the toss and opted to bat. Hardik Pandya was the highest run scorer, smashing 92 runs of 76 deliveries in an innings comprising 7 boundaries and a 6. Ravindra Jadeja was the second top run scorer, hitting 66 of 50 balls with 5 boundaries and 3 maximums to his credit. Jasprit Bumrah and T. Natarajan picked 2 wickets apiece. Australia have won the three-match ODI series 2-1. Manchester United 1, PSG 3. Manchester United blew the chance to seal progress to the Champions League knockout phase when they lost 3-1 to last season's finalist Paris Saint-Germain. Neymar put PSG into an early lead after Kylian Mbappe's deflected shot to him to finish from a tight angle. Marcus Rashford then scored to put United level after his shot was deflected into the net by Danilo Pereira. PSG captain Marquinhos poked home from a close range to restore the French side's lead at Old Trafford. In the stoppage time, Neymar scored the winning goal for PSG. FERENCVAROS 0, Barcelona 3. Barcelona are favourites to finish top of Group G as they maintained their 100% start at the Champions League with a comfortable win at FERENCVAROS. FERENCVAROS 0, 3 Barcelona. The Catalan Giants will ensure they win the group with a point against Juventus next week. Sevilla 0, Chelsea 4. Olivier Giroud scored 4 goals in a comprehensive Chelsea victory over Sevilla that ensures the Blues take top spot in the Champions League Group E. The Frenchman scored early in each half with 2 delightful finishes after being fed by clever passes from Kai Havertz and Mateo Kovacic. He completed the treble with a flicked near-post header, then converted a penalty after he was bundled over in the box. Juventus 3, Dynamo Kiev 0. Cristiano Ronaldo scored the 750th goal of his remarkable career in Juventus' 3-0 win over Dynamo Kiev. Federico Chiesa, with his first ever Champions League goal, and Alvaro Morata were also on target. Liverpool 1, Ajax 0. Teenager Curtis Jones grabbed a 58-minute winner as an injury-hit Liverpool qualified for the knockout stage of the Champions League with a 1-0 win over Ajax. The victory ensured top spot in Group D for Jurgen Klopp's side with 12 points. Ajax with 7 points are a point adrift of second-placed Atalanta and need victory over the Italians in their final group game to reach the last 16. Shakhtar Donetsk 2, Real Madrid 0. Real Madrid are in danger of a dramatic Champions League group stage exit after they fell to a 2-0 away defeat against Shakhtar Donetsk. The 13-time European champions are third in Group B, with all 4 sides still able to qualify in next week's final round of matches. The first half ended goalless, but 12 minutes after in the second half, Shakhtar Donetsk's Denito scored the first goal for his team. After this, only Solomon of Donetsk managed to score in the 82nd minute of the game. Atletico Madrid 1, Bayern Munich 1. Atletico Madrid faced a nerve-wracking final game to ensure they reached the Champions League knockout stage after they could only draw 1-1 at home to a much-changed Bayern Munich. Diego Simeone's men took the lead through Joao Felix's goal in the 26th minute but were unable to add a security goal. Thomas Müller was brought down in the penalty box and converted the penalty successfully in the 86th minute to take away a point from this match.
American singer-songwriter MEGHAN Trainor has fulfilled her dream of recording a festive album based on Christmas. That and more from the world of entertainment in Showbiz.
K-pop band BTS is offering up its outfits from the music video for hit single Dynamite to the highest bidder in a Beverly Hills charity auction. The costumes include t-shirts, hats, sneakers, pants and shirts worn by the South Korean boy band during the final dance sequence of the music video for Dynamite in August. The music video, which features the band members dancing with the sunset sky behind them, became the fastest YouTube video to reach 10 million views, doing so only after 20 minutes of release. In January, 7 signed microphones used by the band on tour sold in Los Angeles for $83,200, more than 8 times the expected starting price. BTS, known for using its music to spread optimism, notched another milestone in the US music industry last week when it was nominated for its first major Grammy Award. The Dynamite outfits will be one of the items auctioned on the 29th of January in Beverly Hills and online to raise funds for Music Cares, the philanthropic arm of the Recording Academy, which organizes the annual Grammy Awards. Music Cares funds health and welfare programs for musicians, including tens of thousands who have lost work during the coronavirus pandemic, with the shuttering of clubs and concert venues and the cancellation of festivals. MEGHAN Trainor has conquered her demons, got married, and has fulfilled a long-held dream with her latest album, A Very Trainor Christmas. Christmas has always meant a lot to Trainor. She said, "I'm obsessed with Christmas because my birthday is the 22nd of December, and so it's like my thing every year. I had my wedding on my birthday and made it a whole Christmas theme. I got engaged on my birthday too, and it was a whole Christmas theme. I cry when I see Christmas lights." The album contains covers of Christmas classics like White Christmas, Silent Night and Winter Wonderland, as well as 6 new holiday tracks that Trainor wrote with her brothers during quarantine. The title track of the album, A Very Trainor Christmas, is a homage to the work put in by her family. Holidays is one of the new tracks and features classic 70s disco funk band Earth, Wind and Fire. A group of dancers was able to produce a music video amid the pandemic as well. The Oscar-nominated star of Juno and the Umbrella Academy, formerly known as Ellen Page, on Tuesday said she was a transgender person and has changed her first name to Elliot. 33-year-old Page was nominated for an Academy Award for playing a pregnant teenager in the 2007 film Juno and starred in other movies including 2010 sci-fi thriller Inception. The actor currently appears in Netflix superhero series The Umbrella Academy. Page received messages of support on social media after his announcement. Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen's anthology about the West Indian community in London from the 1960s to the 1980s continues with the release of Red, White and Blue. Starring John Boyega, the film centers around a young forensic scientist who decides he wants to pursue a career as a police officer. Boyega believes that the stories such as Red, White and Blue are important to continue the discussion. He said, "This gives us an opportunity to really look at the experience of a black man who felt like the best strategy for him was to go into an institution, change it from the inside out, but is met with real complicated obstacles, and for us to be able to empathize, see, disagree, agree, it's very important right now as we have global conversations about the issue.
With this, we come to the end of Global Scan and we leave you with these images which describe the world this week. Namaskar.